Hello and welcome to another podcast episode. I have finished something. I don't think I was going to finish it, but yesterday I thought I'm so close to finishing that I just snitched on that yesterday to finish it. Made a bit of progress on a couple other things. Picked up an old project, working on the deadline project. I've got a new patent to release and some other stuff to talk about, so I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn from my website, YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, then please consider subscribing. It is the last weekend of my special birthday offer. My birthday was last weekend. I am now 56, and we had a lovely weekend. My daughters came home because we had a long weekend, so they were home for the 3 days. So we had a couple of days out. We went to a local town of Loo and had a walk around, had some Cornish pasties, and that was on Saturday. Sunday we went to Castle Drogo on Dartmoor, and then we went out for a meal with my father-in-law in the evening. And then Monday, Simon and I went to the gym, and then Emily cooked us roast dinner for lunch with homemade apple pie, or rather we bought the pastry, but the apples were from the garden. So we had a really lovely day, and it was nice to see the girls because Emily was home a couple of weeks ago, but my oldest Vanessa I haven't seen for a while, so it was really nice to see the girls as well. So I had a lovely weekend. My birthday offer ends at the end of August, so you got till Sunday night. Now I always set it so it actually ends the day after what I set as the deadline. And that is just to make sure that I allow for any like time zone things. So it's actually set to finish sometime on Monday, but I'm not quite sure what time on Monday it finishes. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out, use the discount code by Sunday evening. You get 15% off all my online courses and everything on my website. So on my website there's yarn, my book, Speed the Lace Knitting and Easy Lace Knits, notions, beads, yarn. I said yarn, I think. And online courses. See if I can remember them all. Continental knitting, successful lace knitting, finishing techniques, successful brioche knitting, Scandinavian stranded colourwork and steeking, or fair owl knitting and steeking, same thing, kinda. Successful socks. I think that's it. So 15% off. I'll put the code and everything on the screen, and it'll all be linked below. So make sure you don't miss out on that. If you missed last week's newsletter and video, I already had to pause shipping to the European Union and Northern Ireland earlier this year because of, I think it's safety regulations. It just sounds so complicated that I haven't even looked into it properly, because I think for the amount of parcels I sell to the EU and Northern Ireland, it's probably not worth it for me to pay for what I'd have to pay every month to be able to ship to the EU. So I stopped that earlier in the year, but now I've also had to stop shipping to the US for the time being. There is a lot of conflicting information for UK sellers. I believe if you have a business account with the Royal Mail, you can still ship to the US, but if you are a personal customer, I'm not sure. And it's very confusing, and I just decided to put it on hold for the time being till I have more clarity. Because problem is, if I order something from abroad and I have to pay customs charges on it, I pay that direct to the carrier. So if it's Royal Mail, FedEx, DHL, whatever, and then usually with a surcharge on top, and then they pay it to the UK government. With the US, they want the carrier to collect the tariffs from the sender. So whether you're sending a business parcel or a personal parcel, sending someone a gift, you've got to pay tariffs on that before you send it. And so over the weekend, apparently postal services all over Europe, and indeed quite a few Asian countries as well, I believe, and Canada, I think I saw, have stopped shipping to the US for the time being. So I apologize, but there's not a lot I can do. I'll resume shipping to the US when it becomes possible, but for the time being, I can't. I've tried to switch it off on my website, but I can't. I don't know why. So I need to look into that. But if you order from the US, I will just refund you. So there's no point placing an order through my website because I'll just refund you. So that's the bad news. But you can still support me by buying my patterns on Ravelry and Payhip, and you can also buy my online courses, of course, because they're digital, so they're not affected. And like my books, Be the Lace Knitting and Easy Lace Knit, if you live in the US, you can get that from US suppliers anyway. So there's probably no point in buying them from me unless you want it signed, of course. But you pay more for it if you buy that from me anyway. You live in the US, so that's that. So code for 15% off. I put that on the screen. I have some upcoming workshops and stuff. We will talk about that a bit later, and then we'll go on to. Oh yes, I have an errata to tell you about. I'll do that first. So I've updated the patterns on Ravelry and Payhip, and I put an errata notice on Ravelry and Payhip on the pattern page. If you buy my patterns on Ravelry, if I update the pattern, you will automatically get the update, or you'll get an email to say you can download the updated version. I don't know if that happens on Payhip. I don't think it does. But I put the errata. It's a really minor errata. But I've also sold loads of these patterns at shows in the last couple of years. It was my best-selling pattern both last year and the year before at Yarndale and at Unravel this year. So I've sold a lot of these patterns, and there's a tiny little area in it. On the back page, I think it's on the last page, it says place lining in back. So I'm talking about my clutch bags. So it says place lining in back. It should be in bag. My taker just spotted it, and she taken it to my latest clutch back pattern, which is a brioche clutch, which will be out in a few weeks. And then she went back and looked at my other clutch bags, and the error is on those as well. So that's embarrassing, but never mind. There may be some instructions that I've just copied and pasted for each pattern because it's the same. And when you copy and paste, you don't always proofread it properly. Anyway, it should be placed the pattern in bag, not back. So if you bought the pattern from me in person, you probably already spotted that, and it probably makes sense. So you put the lining in the bag. So it's for the Glamour clutch, the Festival clutch, and the Color clutch. So if you bought any of those at a show, just be aware of that. Or at one of my workshops, because I've taught it quite a few times as well. So I apologize. These things happen. Okay, so let's talk about a new pattern I'm releasing today. I have been sitting on this pattern for a while, and I'm not going to put it on. I'm going to put a picture up of it, because if I put it on, it's going to mess up my mic, and I don't want the hassle of that. But I'll put some pictures up while I talk about it. This is the Small Delights scarf, and I bought this yarn, which is Drops Air, in Norway when I was there in February. Yes, because I didn't go to Oslo when I was there in January. And I knitted this version in Norway. I included 2 yarn options for this. This is knitted in Drops Air, which is a blown yarn. It's very, very lightweight, but it's also very fussy, and it does shed a little bit, as I noticed when I knitted with it. But you only need 25 grams of each colour. And I think it comes in a 50-gram ball, yes. So you should be able to knit the whole scarf in one colour. So if you wanted just to do a 1-ball scarf, you can knit it in one colour. Because it's knitted in 2 halves, you can just weigh your yarn and make sure you just have enough left for the second half, because the second half mirrors the first one. It's a very easy scarf, very, very shallow, long triangle, knitted sideways. It has some double yarn over eyelet patterns. So I've done it in this, which would be like an Aran weight yarn, I think, but it's very, very light. It's not heavy like a normal Aran weight. It's incredibly light. And then I've done it in Symphony Viva DK. So I used a variegated yarn just to show what it would look like in a variegated yarn. This one I used 60 grams of this one. This is in the colorway Summer Romance, and I used a different needle size than I did for the Drops Air. So the pattern has instructions for both the DK version. The actual scarf is the same, number of rows and everything is the same. So you can knit a DK version or the Aran weight version, the Air version. This is the DK version. I'll put some pictures up on the screen so I don't mess with my mic. And pattern is available now. There's a 25% discount, which I'll put below and on the pattern page. So I haven't actually listed the pattern yet at the time of recording. I normally do that when I do my newsletter tomorrow morning, and before this video is out. And so I'll put the discount and everything there. Discount is on the pattern page as well. 25% off. I don't know how long for, but it'll all be on the pattern page. So that's the new pattern. Let's see what else is on my list. Right, let's talk about some of the stuff I finished. So yesterday, I realized I was very close to finishing my second opal sock. So last week I was there, and I probably got to like there by yesterday. So yesterday I thought, right, I'm going to get this finished because I'm getting bored with this sock. Don't want to talk about it again till I finished it. So I finished this, and then I picked up the stitches for the heel, afterthought heel, and knitted in the afterthought heel. So all my knitting yesterday was on this. I didn't do a ton of knitting yesterday. Yesterday all my knitting time was done on this, but I didn't do a ton of knitting yesterday. So I finished these, very happy with them. I can't remember when I started these. I keep trying, I think both last year and this year, I started trying to keep like a log of when I start things. I could go back old videos and check, but I'm not doing that. So this is, I started this earlier this year sometime, but I can't remember when. This is Opal Regenwald 20-year Jubileum. Is what it says on there. Hang on. And it is in the colorway 8467. 8467, and I'm really happy with how they knit it up. I did the leg part of it slightly shorter for some reason, I'm not sure why. So I used my Aventuras pattern, which you get a choice of toe up and top down. So I did toe up with a wedge toe. Then I did this garter rib pattern on the foot and on the leg, and then I did 20 rounds of normal rib at the top, and then picked up my stitches for the afterthought heel and knitted a swirly afterthought heel, which looks better on me than it does on here. And so that's where I was last time. So I knitted probably about that much when we were out and about on Saturday and Sunday, and then the rest plus the heel yesterday. So very happy with those. Those are done. Very relieved those are done because they've been on the needles for so long. I'm glad they're done. So I'm going to hang on to this because I need to put that on the next project I'm going to talk about. So I immediately yesterday dug out my next pair of socks that I started a while ago. Again, I can't remember when I started this. I think it's before, yeah, it must have been before I went to Norway in July, but I cannot remember when I started this. But the yarn is James C. Brett Funny Feets. I keep thinking it's called Happy Feets, but it's Funny Feets with a Z. And I'm knitting these top down. Did I start this for one of our cinema trips? Don't know. Anyway, did top down. 30 rounds of rib. Not sure why I got a marker in here. Oh, I'd forgotten about this. Okay, so there will be a tutorial coming on this. I must have dropped, I think I started this when I went to cinema. Maybe it was Mission Impossible, but I'm not sure. But I noticed when I was much further down that I dropped a stitch here, and I just put it on one of these markers. So that's a good reminder because I'm going to film a tutorial on that, so I might do that this afternoon. I did rib at the top, 25, 30 rounds, I'm not sure, and then stocking stitch. Now, I was going to do an afterthought heel, but you see how these, the blue and the purple ones, are fairly similar length, and the grey ones, whatever the colour that is, dark navy, not sure, are similar size. Then you got this big green stripe. You should also have the top here. So I don't know how this is going to stripe throughout the rest of the sock. If there aren't any more of these wide green stripes, then it would probably make sense for me to put the heel, the afterthought heel, in the middle of this green stripe. So what I decided to do is not put in the waist yarn from the afterthought heel like I normally do. I'm also not sure whether I 100% like this color. So I might give them to Simon. His feet are slightly longer than mine, so I need to do a few more rounds for his socks. So what I'm going to do is knit it so that I have the length for the leg and the foot, do a swirly toe, and then afterwards I'm going to cut yarn in the middle and then pick the row for the afterthought heel. I think I already have a video on it on my channel, but I will record a tutorial when I do it, because the difficult thing is to determine where to cut it and to make sure that your heel lines up with your toe. So that's why I've decided just to see how the rest of this knits up, and then I'll make a decision about what kind of heel to do, because I want to wind it into a ball like that so it would fit in my project bag. I don't really know what the rest of the color progression doesn't show you the color progression on the actual label. So Opal usually have a picture of a sock finished, so you can kind of see what the color progression is. Now it does vary a bit according to your stitch pattern, your gauge, your needle size, all that kind of stuff, but this label doesn't have that. So I thought I would just knit it as one long tube, and then I'll cut in the heel afterwards, and I'll probably film that as a tutorial when I get to it. Now this is not a rushed project. This is the first sock. This is just out and about at the moment, or when I need something easy. So I don't imagine finishing this very soon. I'd like to finish this pair before I go to Yarndale, so I can cast them for a new pair of socks for Yarndale. When I always like to have a sock or something easy to knit on when I do shows, because even though it's busy, there's still quite a lot of time to knit. Over the Unravel weekend, which was 3 days, it was incredibly busy, really, really busy. But I still managed to knit a whole sock, I think, or nearly a whole sock during that weekend. That included, I think, when we went out for a meal the first day after setting up. So I do think it's useful to have something easy to knit at shows, because there are times when you just sit there, and it looks better if you sit there and knit on your stall rather than sit there and scroll on your phone or just look bored. So I always take a pair of socks with me for shows, and I prefer to knit with yarn that I actually sell, because then I can tell people about it and use it as a segue to maybe make a sale. So I will probably, if I haven't finished these before Yarndale, I'll probably cancel for another pair of socks for Yarndale anyway. After Yarndale, I've got week and day or two, 9 days maybe at home. Then we go to Portugal for a week. So I'm thinking whatever sock I cast on for Yarndale, if I don't finish it on that trip, I can, and I'll have lots of car knitting time as well, I can then take it to Portugal with me and try and finish it there. So this will be my out and about socks, and I'm not casting on any other socks till I've finished those, unless I haven't finished them in time for Yarndale. Then I will cast another pair of socks, but otherwise they will be my out and about socks for the time being. Before we go on to the other projects I've been working on and my plans for the next week, I have 2 designs in the current issue of the Knitter magazine, issue 218, and I did a video talking about those on Tuesday this week. The magazine has been out for like 3 weeks now. I think the next issue comes out next Thursday, so a week from the day I'm filming this. The 4th, I think it is. Monday's the 1st, isn't it? So Monday, Tuesday, yeah, 4th of September. I think Knitting Magazine comes out at the same time, and I also have a pattern in Knitting Magazine. So I've actually received the next issue of the Knitter. It's on the desk, but I don't want to show you yet because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. If you haven't picked up issue 218, you want to get it from the shops. Get it now if you're in the UK. You can also buy it online. If you're in the US and you have a library subscription, you may also be able to rent it from your library or borrow it from your library. So that's also worth looking at. So that was the Tuesday video this week. I also have some workshops coming up. We do have more knitting to talk about, but I'll talk about some of my workshops first. So next week, I kick off my very busy autumn season. Friday, I'm teaching at Knitting Hotel, Brioche Basics. I don't know if it's fully booked or not, but contact Linda at the Knitting Hotel. Website is below. I think it's just the knittinghotel.co.uk. 9th of September, I'm teaching Intarsia at Spinning Yarn and Bobby Tracy. We're going to be working on some swatches like this, depending on how difficult you want to make it, just to practice your Intarsia techniques. And then I'm going to give everyone the option in the afternoon, and I need to email Spinning Yarn actually, to start this scarf if they want to. This scarf will be out in a couple of weeks as well. Pattern is ready to go. I just need to take photographs, and I've also recorded a tutorial that I need to link to go in the pattern. So Intarsia knitting, a spin yarn, Bobby Tracy Devon on the 9th of September. I'll put the website below and on the screen. Contact them if you're interested. And then I'm going to Black Sheep Wools in Warrington the same week, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, but those workshops are fully booked. And then 2 weeks later is YarnAddict on the 27th and 28th, and I'm teaching Intarsia at YarnAddict as well, so hopefully at YarnAddict we'll have time to knit one of these little coasters, because it's only a 2.5 hour workshop, or it's a 2 hour. It's a 2 hour workshop. So that's on the Sunday 28th. I'm exhibiting for the 2 days, 27th and 28th. I'm teaching 2 hours on Sunday morning in Intarsia Colourworks. If you come into YarnAddict and you fancy a workshop, check that out. And the 3rd and 4th of October, I'm back at the Knitting Hotel for a 2-day workshop on clutch bags. People can choose between my colour clutch, my glamour clutch, or my new brioche clutch, which doesn't have a name yet, but we're busy tech editing it at the moment. So I'll probably release the brioche clutch towards the end of September. I'm hoping to have it ready for YarnAddict and have the pattern at YarnAddict, and I'll probably release the pattern here either before YarnAddict that week or the week after. But I'm teaching clutch bags at the Knitting Hotel 3rd and 4th of October. I don't know if they're fully booked or not, because I know they've had some cancellations for some weekends. So you can always contact them and see if they have space. They may have space for a day guest if you fancy that. And then I'm in Portugal, and then I come back and I'm teaching 17th of October, intro to teaching Feral knitting and steeking, or Selby mittens at the Knitting Hotel on the 17th. And then I'm teaching a new workshop. Now, I haven't had booking details confirmed yet, but I'll tell you about it anyway. So I'm teaching brioche knitting at Brixham Sewing Box in Brixham in South Devon. I haven't taught there before, so I'm really excited, really looking forward to it. I haven't got the details of how you book yet, but I will put the website to the shop below, so if you're interested, just contact them. Then I'm in Norway. Then I come back, and I know there's spaces for this, or at least there was over the weekend. 8th of November, finishing techniques at the Knitting Hotel. So it's a retreat that goes from Thursday to Sunday. So you can book in for the whole retreat, or if you want to come as a day guest, you might just be able to come on the Saturday. Contact Belinda at the Knitting Hotel, because I know a few days ago she had some vacancies for that weekend. So that's the 8th of November, teaching finishing techniques. And then don't forget my Harrogate workshops at 21st to 23rd of November. All the details of that will be below as well. And there's also a discount code for entry tickets below as well. I don't know when that ends actually, but it's all below. Right, that's enough for workshops. Let's talk about more knitting, because otherwise it gets a bit boring. All my workshops are on my website. So my other project I've been working on a bit this week, not a lot, but a bit. I've been trying to do a little bit on this every day, apart from yesterday, and I'm not sure whether I worked on it every day over the weekend because we were busy. I'm just going to tangle my yarn. So I forgot to put a marker in where I was last week, but my colorwork bag is coming along nicely. That is what it looks like now. So I'm knitting a smaller version of this, which I knitted last year in the black is Yatagon Merino cotton, and the colors are the Discreet Unicorn Yarn Advent for last year. This is a smaller version because I thought that'd be more doable. I'd really like to try and finish this week. I'd like to finish it by the end of this weekend, but I'd really like to finish it next week so that I can get the pattern done, and to my tech editor, so hopefully we can get the pattern ready for YarnAddict. See if I can try and measure it. So I'm about 3/4, I think. And I was about 1/4, I think, last week. So I've done quite a bit actually on this. But I'd like to finish this soon. If I could get it finished by the end of this week, that would be great. Don't think that's going to happen. Just trying to find this marker I took off my sock earlier, because I didn't put a marker on this last week. But I'm going to put a marker on it this week, so that next week I know how far I've knitted. I would like to try and finish it this week. But I've also got a deadline project I'm working on, so I need to make sure I finish that. But if I can finish the knitting on this week, I can get the pattern finished into my tech editor. I haven't asked my tech editor if there's any possibility we can get this done in time for YarnAddict, but that's my hope. But I haven't asked her about it, so we'll see. May not be, and that's fine, but I'm hoping to finish it. I am working on the deadline project at the moment for magazine design, which I don't need to finish till like the end of next week, but I've been really cracking on with it and trying to do quite a lot on that every day this week, apart from yesterday when I only worked on my socks because I didn't want to end up rushing next week. So I'd like to have it finished by Friday next week so I can post it. If I can post it early and get it out of the way, that'd be great because the week after next is so busy. So I think the deadline is the week after next. It's 2 weeks from yesterday, I think. So I've got plenty of time and I'm over halfway through it, I think. It's only a small project. So I think for the next few days, because I'm doing so well on that deadline project, I'm going to put in more work on my colour work to also see if I can finish both of them by the end of Sunday. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen, but I'm hoping so. Fingers crossed. And then next week I can do the lining and everything. I made the lining for this bag. I made a second lining for a full-size bag. But of course I'm making a smaller bag, so I need to do the lining again. But that doesn't take that long. It's only cutting out rectangles and sewing them together. So I'm going to do that. And I also need to make the lining for my crochet clutch, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago. I still haven't done the lining for that because I thought when I do the lining for this, I can do the two together and it'll be quicker. I was thinking about doing it tomorrow because it's Friday tomorrow and I've got a bit of time in the afternoon. But it depends whether I've got far enough on this bag to be able to measure it accurately for the size of the lining. I probably should be, so I can make the lining. So hopefully I can show you finish one of these next week and the finished crochet clutch I made last year. Actually put the lining in. I don't know where the crochet clutch is now actually, so I can't show it to you, but I showed it to you a couple of weeks ago. So having nearly oh, here it is, that one. So I just need to put the lining in it. So having nearly finished the project, I do have a couple of mosaic patterns downstairs that I need to get on with. So once I finish the colour work bag, I will pick up one of those mosaic samples I have downstairs. I have a pair of hand warmers and a second sample of the Bergen scarf. Bergen scarf, I just want the sample for YarnAddict. Pattern is done and published months ago, so I don't need to do any extra work. I just need to finish the knitting in time for YarnAddict at the end of September. So I got plenty of time to do that. I also wanted to use it as a sample to demonstrate on when I teach the Bergen Mosaic Scarf Workshop at Black Sheep Wools in 2 weeks. So that's fine. I'm not in a rush to finish that. The other one was a pair of mosaic hand warmers, and I would like to finish those. If I can get the finish and tech edit in time for YarnAddict, that'd be great, but I'm not bothered about them being tech edited in time for YarnAddict. We'll see how it goes. I've also yesterday, I had some questions this week or last week about a pattern that was in the knitter a few months ago, I think. Can't remember when it was. Probably last year sometime. Yeah, or maybe even earlier. I can't remember. It's issue 178, and we're now on 219 coming out next week, so it's a while ago. Anyway, I was answering these questions and now looking at the pattern, I was thinking I should probably self-publish this pattern. So I started working earlier this week on writing up the pattern in my pattern style because I had a day when I had a bit of extra time but I was feeling tired. So I thought that's a fairly easy thing I can do where I still feel like I'm making progress. So I decided to knit it in this yarn because I always like this colorway. This is Mono Uruguay Fino, but I don't have anything in this colorway and I love this colorway. The original sample was knitted in 2 skeins, but this is quite expensive. So I'm going to make it a 1 skein shawl. This is 450 meters. So I'm going to make it a 1 skein shawl and just put some notes in if you want to make it bigger, I think. And I need to decide whether I'm going to knit it or whether I'm going to ask one of my sample knitters to knit it. I'm also thinking about adding beads, which the original shawl didn't have. So I need to decide whether I'm going to knit it or one of my sample knitters are going to knit it. I also have some yarn sitting here. I'm not going to tell you what it is. For a magazine design for early October. and I have a second design due for a magazine early October. The yarn hasn't arrived yet, so I need to chase that up today. So I need to knit a swatch with that so I can write up the pattern next week. And I'm going to definitely ask one of my sample knitters to knit that, because I'm so busy this month. I'm going to struggle to get it done, especially because I got 2 deadlines at the same time just before I go to Portugal in October. So I don't know what to ask one of my sample knitters to do this one. Hit myself in the glasses with this one, or whether I'm going to do it myself. I haven't decided yet, so we'll make a decision at some point. If I decide not to do too many beads on it, that could be a good travel project for when we go to Yarndale, because I can knit on that in the car if it doesn't have too many beads. But in the meantime, I really want to start a filet project. I've submitted my filet crochet workshop idea to an event I'm hoping to teach it next year, and the organizer was very positive about it. So I'm going to start a filet project. I think I'm going to make this one first because I really like this chart. Now I'm going to make it into either a cowl or a scarf. I think probably a cowl or an affinity scarf. This is the other one I have ready to go, but I'm not quite so happy with this chart. I think I need to work on it a little bit first. So I think I'm going to start this one, and what I'm going to do once I finish the colour work bag and my deadline project, I'm going to start this. I don't know if I'm going to do this yarn yet, or whether I'm going to do a hand-dyed yarn. I have this yarn from Spectrum Fibre. It was in the yarn club I did with her last year in June. I think that's really pretty. Although I do have a couple of the pretty colours over there as well that I might choose. I don't know. But I'm going to do it in one of those. What I'm thinking is I might do it in Yatagara Merino cotton first, and then doing it in that yarn or an equivalent DK yarn would be a good travel project for when we go to Portugal in October, when I go to Norway later in October. But I want to start crocheting this week because I'm really itching to do some crochet. So there will be some crochet going on my hook this week. I would also like to remake one of the 2 crochet sweaters I made this summer, but I still haven't decided which one. I'm going to need to order some yarn this week or early next week for Yarndale. So I'm going to order the yarn for that crochet sweater then, because it's from the same supplier, and then decide at some point this month, and probably start it later this month. That's it for today, I think. Don't forget, my 15% off birthday offer ends at the end of August, which is Sunday, but you should still be able to use it Monday morning. But just in case so you don't miss out, make sure you use it by Sunday evening. 15% off my website and all my online courses. Don't forget the Tuesday video this week if you haven't watched it. The Knitted 218 is in the shops now, but not for much longer because the new issue is out next week. And don't forget my Harrogate workshops and my new patterns, Small Delights. I'll link everything below. And what else did I say? The workshop page on my website is up to date with everything apart from my bricks and workshops, which will hopefully be going on up in the next few days. I think that's it. Tell me what you're looking forward to getting on your needles this autumn as the weather cools down. It's starting to cool down a bit here, so autumn is coming. So let me know what you're looking forward to knit for the next season. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. If you're already a subscriber, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.